Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 373rd commencement ceremony at Harvard University. We are so glad that you are joining us today, whether it is from the other side of the university campus or the other side of the globe, as we turn our attention to celebrating the accomplishments of the class of 2024. It is a difficult moment in the world right now. It is a challenging time for higher education, and it has certainly been a hard year here at the university. But today, our focus is on the nearly 8,500 students who have met the degree requirements for their bachelor's, master's, and doctoral degrees. Their families and loved ones are joining us here in Tercentenary Theater, also known as the New Yard. That rolls off the tongue a little bit easier, so that's what we'll be calling it today. And I am also joined from our broadcast booth by two phenomenal members of our community. As we celebrate today, I'm joined by Alicia Johnson-Williams, who is Resident Dean of First-Year Students, an alum of the college celebrating her 10th reunion this year, and also the proud spouse of one of our graduates today. I also have Annabella Morabito, the Associate Director for Community Engagement. We will have some other folks coming in to join us, but we wanted to be in conversation as we celebrate our students and to talk more about the experience of being here. Alicia, let me start with you. Your 10th reunion is coming up. You live with first-year students. You were part of the Quincy House community for many, many years. And of course, your husband, Rakem, is earning his master's degree today. What does it mean to you to be here with us in the broadcast booth and in the yard?
You know, when I graduated in 2014, I thought that was the pinnacle, being here in this space and this energy with, my fellow graduates. And I can honestly say I think this moment is topping it. Watching my husband graduate, just being here with you all, being in this space, being able to talk about, what a Harvard graduation means. So I am very, very excited to be here and just overjoyed and overwhelmed looking at our graduates who are, who are experiencing this for the first time. I'm brought back to what was it, May 29th, 2014, being very nervous sitting out in that crowd, but now it's just pure excitement, pure joy, and pure just respect for what our graduates have done.
I love that. And this gives me a chance to tell you a little bit about the ceremony this morning and what follows later in the day, since Alicia can fill in some of the gaps with us. So we are here together, all 13 degree granting schools at the university come together in this one ceremony this morning. What's going to happen in about an hour is that our students will be announced as graduates of the university from the stage. This is not the part of the ceremony where students walk across one by one, having their name called and celebrating. With nearly 8,500 students, we would be here for a very long time. Instead, what happens is later on this afternoon, the families disperse and the students who have come in with their schools or with their residential houses will go back to that home part of the institution in smaller gatherings of a couple of hundred to 1,000 or so students. Will have that moment where they cross the stage. Well, what happens today is the dean of each of those degree granting schools will stand on the stage and present their students as part of the ceremony. At that point, President Alan Garber will announce that our students have received the honor of being a graduate of the university. Everyone will cheer. They will also hold up some ceremonial objects, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. And so what you have been seeing on the screen throughout the morning is the procession of folks who are coming in from their graduate school campus or from their undergraduate residential house. Now, as a member of the Quincy House community for many years, tell us, what is it like to be part of that smaller ceremony later in the day?
So that is where I would say it's the most typical graduation. So typically students return back to their houses for a luncheon. They're with their families, they're with their loved ones, and then the show gets on the road. And so they're the faculty deans. There we go. Quincy's on the screen there. So our faculty deans will kick off the celebration, sometimes with speeches, sometimes with a little, more pomp and circumstance. In Quincy House, we have a bagpiper. Ooh. So that was one of the fun little features of our commencement in the house. But then it really is about the graduates. So the resident deans of the upperclassmen houses have a wonderful role where they are the ones who actually announce each person as they walk across the stage. But in Quincy House, they also, say a little bit about the graduate.
Oh, wonderful.
And so, you're able to say, you know, I'm so and so, or the resident dean is to say their name. They tell a little bit about maybe what they've done at the university along with their concentration. And so it makes it really special for the folks watching it and from the audience. It makes it special for the graduate. And, you know, in Quincy we have about, gosh, 150 or so folks graduating in every class with a total of
About 181 this year,
Oh,
even because of our COVID
the
year and the
bubble
folks
year.
who took time off. Absolutely. So it'll be a big celebration.
So I'm sure they're going to be going really quickly through those names, but it'll still be very special to have that moment.
And our undergraduate house system is where students are really known by their fellow students, by the resident deans, and so there's that opportunity to really be in community with the folks that you have lived and learned with for 3, sometimes 4 or more years. Now, as you've been watching the footage of our students processing in, I want to mention a little something about the regalia, or the outfits that everybody is wearing. So our bachelor's degree students and our master's degree students will be wearing all black robes. You can see on the screen right now. They've got their robes and their hat known as a mortarboard. For the folks who are in the puffier, sort of more vibrantly colored robes, those are the doctoral robes. You'll see that I am wearing crimson-colored robes because I graduated with my doctorate from Harvard University. But as our faculty process into the yard, you will see plenty of folks in vibrantly colored regalia, each representing their own institution, their home institution where they had originally graduated from. You will also see, really importantly, these beautiful stoles that folks are wearing. And Annabella, we brought you here today to talk a little bit about the affinity celebrations and the stoles that you are both wearing this morning, and so many students, as we see them walking through, also have in celebration. Tell us more about that.
Thank you. Yes, you know, there's so many ways that we celebrate graduates at Harvard before commencement, whether it be athletic banquets, parties for the student orgs and extracurricular activities that students have chosen to be involved with, or their houses, like Alicia just mentioned. So many different celebrations, and one of the ones that we're proud to host is the Affinity Celebrations, which really uplift and honor the cultural traditions, the identities, and the communities present within our One Harvard community. They also allow graduates an opportunity to honor those who have helped them achieve this milestone. And they receive a stole, and there's many different stoles, and they signify many different things for the communities that are involved, and you'll notice them. Oh, we see Sasha. Sasha also has her own regalia. We will have to get a stole for Sasha.
Yes, we will pause briefly to tell you that Sasha, our community engagement dog, who is handled by Officer Steve Fumicello, also has her regalia on today. Sasha is a really wonderful member of our community. You will often see her in times of celebration, but also in times where students are feeling stressed. She will come around to the different campuses. And so we wanted to have a quick chance. I know she's going back to work with Officer Steve, but we wanted to highlight her as well. Now, she is not wearing a stole. That is not part of her outfit. Our stoles are really sort of a sacred part of the celebration that we have here. So Annabella, you brought some with you. Tell us a little bit about some of these celebrations that have been happening for the past couple of days here at the university.
That's right. Well, the first one ever was the Indigenous celebration hosted by the Harvard University Native American program. And we have a stole for that community. And then, you know, they've grown since. These are student-led gatherings. And so when students come to us with the vision of how to celebrate them, we support that vision. Most recently, we have the celebration for graduates with disability, and in the stole you can see the Disability Pride flag. So you might see some graduates donning that stole. We also have this beautiful yellow stole. You'll see a couple of them in the yard, and this is for first-generation students. And you'll notice that this has a symbol that says Next Gen, which really signifies that, yes, you're the first, but hopefully not the last in your family. You're really creating that next generation, and the way that education promotes social mobility and new opportunities for generations to come. And we have so many more. We've worked with Jewish students to create this beautiful stole. And as you can see, they've decided to include the Star of David as a symbol of the shared religious and cultural identity for Jewish students. We also have worked with veteran students, and you can see the stole is symbolic of the long crimson line with the red and the black. And so you might see some of those in the yard, and there's so many others. You notice that I'm donning the Latinx stole, and it's on traditional serape cloth, which is a vividly colored, intricately woven stole, traditional in Mexico and indigenous communities in Latin America. And Alicia has a kente cloth for Black graduates, which is originally from Ghana and traditionally has been used to commemorate royalty in Ghana. And so our very own Alicia is wearing one. We're so excited. There's so many others that you can see here on the table.
Fantastic. And so what you'll see actually as students are processing into the yard, some are wearing a single stole, others are wearing multiple stoles, and they have celebrated across ceremonies over the past couple of days. What's so special about those ceremonies as well is not only are they student-led, but students are at the helm deciding which faculty speakers will come in, which faculty members or members of the administration will come in and put the stoles on their shoulders as they cross the stage. And it's just one more moment for our students to celebrate. I had the privilege of being at the Lavender graduation ceremony the other day, and it was just so incredibly joy-filled. Our students have so many moments to have celebration with the folks who love them, who are here with them in Cambridge, but also folks who are far away. You only get a couple of tickets to join us in the yard, and so that's why this broadcast is so important, to make sure that our program is accessible to folks at home. Now, Alicia, with Rakem graduating today, you are really on the other side of things, the way so many of folks who are watching our broadcast are so proud. What does it mean to watch him today celebrating this incredible moment?
The words are just overwhelming, and one of the reasons, Annabella, thank you for pulling up this first gen stole. So my husband is a first generation college student and graduate student, and so watching him in these celebrations, watching the hard work that he's put in for these years, I am so proud of the work he's done. And just as a spouse and as a wife, and as we're expecting a child. This is something that I'm so excited to be able to tell, that next generation, just how proud we are of her father.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yes, we love having her with us on the stage today. So baby's first commencement address. She will be here next month. So she is coming to join our community soon. You and your husband actually live in residence with our students, supporting them for the undergraduate students as they navigate their time here at the college. And so this is a baby who will be raised around the incredible undergraduates who are here. You can see on the screen right now, we actually have a lot of students wearing their stoles with pride, posing for photos. They're over in what is known as the Old Yard. So if you have been to Cambridge in the past, or if you look on a map, the yard is divided into two sections. The Old Yard, where the institution in 1636 began, and then the New Yard, or Tercentenary Theater, which is the space between Memorial Church and the iconic Widener Library. You'll see on screen now a lot of folks who are wearing those brightly colored crimson robes. Those are our doctoral students. You see also on their lapels, there are these small little graphic images. These are known as crow's feet, and the color of the crow's feet actually designates which part of the school the students are affiliated with. And so I see that that is a navy blue, or a peacock blue, which should suggest the School of Government here at Harvard University. If you are looking for your own graduates, you can go ahead and Google Crow's Feet Harvard Regalia and the name of that school, and that way you can look and see which color crow's feet your graduate is wearing. It's going to be easier to identify when folks are processing into the yard, of course, because our deans are actually leading the processions this morning. So we are going to hear from some folks who are in procession right now, some of our graduating students, and they'll tell you what that ceremony is like. But they actually march from their home campus, crossing Mass Ave, coming from down by the river, and they follow their the banner that represents their institution as well. Now, Alicia, tell me about that process of walking from Quincy here, being in community with students. What is that like for folks who have never experienced something like that?
You wake up very early. So if you can imagine, your typical college student, that is a little bit out of the norm, but the energy that they are bringing in that day, knowing what this means for, the last 4 years of their own lives, for their families, the energy is just so high on that morning. And so you're up, again, these bagpipers, I don't know what our relationship with bagpipers is, but Quincy does a lot of bagpipes.
They do. They do.
But the bagpiper goes through the hallways of Quincy House, waking folks up. We're able to gather in the courtyard, and then we're usually led by our either our house class committee or other folks who are big figures in the house, along with our faculty deans, and then we walk through. Oh goodness.
So,
There
Anna,
we go.
Alicia is talking about something so beautiful, which is how our community has all these diverse traditions that reflect the houses, the schools, and you talk a little bit later about how the schools hold up objects.
Yes.
There's all these traditions, certainly including the affinity celebrations, but I think it's just so reflective of how we as a community can be so different and yet do that together.
Absolutely.
And really reflect the richness of what makes us different, but embrace that and use that as a bridge with each other. And so I just think it's so beautiful that you're talking about those traditions in Quincy House.
Thank you. And it is like once we're all there celebrating, we're on that march from Plimpton Street.
From Plimpton Street.
All the way up here into the yard. And it is, the energy is going. You pass by John Harvard statue, you tip your hat, and then you make your way into the yard for your seat.
So Alicia is referencing the iconic John Harvard statue, which is in the old part of the yard, which is a symbolic representation of the donor who gave 400 pounds and his library of 400 volumes. On camera B, if you want to pull that up, you'll be able to see our students amassing in front of it. Now, there is no image of John Harvard that actually exists. There was a fire in the university in Harvard Hall many, many years ago, and all of the likenesses of him burned down. And so that is a student who is sitting in as a representation, actually a descendant of one of the Harvard College presidents, so symbolically representing. And you'll see that folks walk by and often tap the shoe for good luck. Students are walking by, you see that there are actually signs that they are holding up. Those represent the houses themselves. So the undergraduates are amassing over there by the John Harvard statue. Now, Annabella, you were part of a different procession. You came over from Appian Way when you were graduating from the School of Education. What was that like, meeting on Appian Way and coming on over here to the yard to celebrate?
It was so exciting, and I think the excitement was really heightened by the fact that a large part of my program was remote. It was during the pandemic, and just to come together in that moment to meet classmates that you'd only met on Zoom and hug each other and really just kind of like start this joyous day where we all come together to celebrate the accomplishments of graduates. And the Ed School has this tradition of holding up children's books. And so we each had our different children's books. I remember I brought The Little Prince. That is my absolute favorite children's book. And it was just really, really exciting. And I remember when we were crossing, a school bus walked by and the little kids were waving. It was just so, it was a picture-perfect moment.
Oh, I love that.
I remember it very
I love
vividly.
that.
Wow.
You also get up very early. You sort of get to Appian Way around 8:30 in the morning. There's a breakfast provided. Everyone's in full regalia as you're sort of marching throughout the city. It's interesting, in the 17 and 1800s, the entire town of Cambridge would come out for these celebrations. It was such a moment when folks were graduating. The very first commencement, so the university was founded in 1636. In 1642, we had our first commencement ceremony, graduating 9 students who were members of the clergy. And the town, turns out, they would eat plum cakes and drink mead to celebrate these newly minted graduates of the university. Now, we are actually going to, oh, I love this image of more students celebrating in the old yard, getting ready to come in procession. We are actually going to say farewell to the two of you. It was so joyful to spend time with you both. Thank you for sharing in your memories, your experiences, and the traditions that you help to support our students with across the university. We're going to be joined by 2 of our graduating students who we're hoping have made it over in the procession from Appian Way to be here with us. But thank you, Alicia. Thank you, Annabella, for being part of this morning with me.
Thank you,
Thank you so
Alexis.
much, Alexis.
All right. So what we're seeing now are more students lining up. You'll also see folks who are not wearing regalia. Those are the family members, the loved ones who are coming here to celebrate their students and everything that they have accomplished to get them to this day. Now, the yard is only so big, and so folks only get a couple of tickets, and we know that there are plenty of you who are watching from hotel rooms here in Cambridge because you'll join the ceremonies later in the day, or others who are watching from home from afar. But you'll see up on your screen right now, those are the steps of the iconic Henry Elkins Widener Library, a library that was built to commemorate a student who died in the Titanic. His mother gave us generously the funding in order to build that. And on the steps, what you'll see are families who actually began lining up before 7 a.m. to come into the yard to get those seats so that they can watch and be part of this historic moment. As I'm looking at folks on the steps, I am remembering my own parents who sat on the steps of Widener along with my grandmother when I graduated. Such an honor for the folks who can come here, the ones who get you to the other side, who can also be celebrated in such a profound moment that we have. You'll see folks from Lowell House there on your screen now. That is John Harvard in the top right of your screen. And again, you'll see those beautiful stoles that Annabella was telling us about as students are celebrating all of the different identities that they bring with them, and those celebrations that we have had to honor the identities of our students as well. Now, if we could go to camera 3, what you will see there in just a moment is the Holyoke chair. You'll see that behind the podium. It's sort of a spindly looking object. This is a chair from the 16th century, more than 450 years old. And I am told that it is the most uncomfortable chair to sit in that anyone has ever spent time in. It is also apparently prone to tipping over, although that's never happened in one of our commencement ceremonies. Derek Bach, our president for several decades, sat in that chair many times to oversee our commencement ceremony. And his mother actually embroidered the pillow that is on the seat there in an attempt to make the chair slightly more comfortable. It belongs to our art museums, and it only comes out for ceremonies like this one, but you'll see it with pride of place in the center of the stage. On both sides of that chair, you'll see other seats. The names are already there, present on camera 2. You'll have a broader view of what that looks like. Those are seats that are reserved for dignitaries, for our honorands, the folks who are receiving honorary doctoral degrees today, and the deans of each of the colleges and universities. As I mentioned earlier in the broadcast, each of our deans will stand up on that stage and present their students to President Garber for the moment of degree conferral, the moment when he announces from the stage that they have earned their designation as a Harvard graduate, and everyone celebrates. As Annabella had mentioned, that's a moment when folks hold up objects at each of the schools, at each of the graduate and professional schools. And every school has its own ceremonial object. We'll talk more about the books from the education school in a moment. You will hear, above all else, the clappers that are used by the School of Public Health. Other schools will hold up inflatable globes. I believe that that is the Kennedy School of Government. Some symbolic item that helps us to celebrate a theme or the focus of the school that we go to. You will see right now a lot of those doctoral robes. You'll see 3 velvet stripes on the sleeve. That also helps you to recognize the doctoral robes. Folks who have earned doctorates from a Doctor of Law, Doctor of Medicine, Doctor of Education, and plenty of others from our 13-degree granting schools. If we could go to camera B quickly, I would love to capture this moment. We seem to have a proud family with graduates. You'll see the crow's feet on those robes designate that those students are a member of the Faculty of Arts and Sciences. Whenever you see the white crow's feet, that's either an undergraduate or a graduate who's part of the FAS system. And we see them talking, posing for photos. It's such a wonderful moment of celebration for our family members who have supported folks to get to the other side. In just a moment, I'm going to be joined by 2 of our graduating students. They're just getting mic'd up and ready, and so while that happens, we're seeing students milling around, taking selfies, just generally trying to appreciate this one opportunity for us to come together across all of the schools and to be in celebration together before we go to our home campuses later on today. And with that, I think we might be ready for camera 7, because here I am joined by my own students. I am so proud of both of them graduating today. We have Kamal James and Adam Milano. They are history making because they are two of the 88 students graduating from the inaugural cohort of the Online Education Leadership Program. This is a brand new degree program we launched 2 years ago with the two of you with us, and they have been studying from afar. We think about Harvard University, we think about students being here in Cambridge, Massachusetts, but one of the things we learned as a faculty during the pandemic is that not only can we teach well online, but we can reach students who are unable to move to Cambridge, uproot their lives, their families, leave their jobs. And so what we have is this phenomenal cohort of career-embedded folks who are joining us from around the globe, 22 US states, 10 countries, and they're only with us one time at the beginning of their program for a couple of days. We launched that together, and now we are back in community for a second time, although Kamal actually led some of his classmates back for an interlude at the 1 year mark, so we were able to come together again. But they are here today after coming over from Appian Way, where they've processed behind Dean Long. You will notice they are both also wearing ceremonial affinity celebration stoles, and I believe Kamal is also wearing a yellow rope chain, designating the fact that he is our intellectual award winner. Our students nominate a classmate who has had profound impact on them and the program, and Kamal was hands down who our higher education cohort selected to represent us. Now, Kamal, part of the procession this morning, I know how special that was for you. Tell us about what was that like, marching behind Dean Long to come here to the yard. I saw you yesterday. I know it was an emotional moment with your family here. Tell us, how are you feeling today?
I feel great. It was a very proud moment to be able to process across the Harvard campus, to be here with you this morning. And it really was a fitting closing to my time as a student here at Harvard.
I love that. And you brought some books over with you. So each of our students, as Annabella had mentioned, are given a book that they can bring over to the ceremony. You'll wave it in the air when Dean Long stands on stage and announces the very first graduates of our Online Education Leadership Program. But what's special about these books is these don't then go to a shelf at home or in a memory box. You will bring them back to Appian Way, put them in a box, and they are mailed around the globe to libraries, to children who will be reading them. So you have, it looks like, a New York Mets book. We've got Left Out from Adam. There are young children's books to older readers. Folks are invited to bring books from home if they have a particular favorite. They're also invited to inscribe a note for the students who will read them at libraries around the country. Now, Adam, you are wearing your veteran stole, which is one of our new affinity celebrations. Can you tell us a little bit about what that ceremony was like and what it means to you?
Absolutely. So earlier this week on Tuesday, I had the opportunity to attend the first inaugural veterans ceremony, which is run by Chris Yousefi out of the Extension School. And all the branches of the military and foreign militaries were represented at an incredible ceremony. And then the following day, my family and I had the opportunity to attend the commissioning of 23 Harvard students who are now joining the long Crimson Line in a beautiful ceremony, which was fittingly in Memorial Hall, which was, of course, originally constructed to commemorate the deaths of 136 of our Harvard students and alum who died in the Civil War.
Wonderful. Now, I know you were wearing proudly your stole today. There was something special about the veterans ceremony. The family members were tapped with putting the stoles around their necks. So at most of the ceremonies, it's faculty members, but our veterans who planned the ceremony decided it was the family members who should be there with them for that moment.
Absolutely, and I think, not to speak for both of us, but I think when you pursue anything, let alone education, it's not just a single affair. The entire family is involved. And I think the same is actually true of military service. We often say that in a way the entire family serves. So to have my mom and my dad at the ceremony the other day, and then to have my mom place the stole on me, and to see the other veterans and active duty service members with their family members, their loved ones, who helped them get through this program in their own way, it was a really special thing to be a part of.
I love that. And so that's reminding me to mention one of the reasons I tapped the two of you. I mean, you were both my students and my advisees. I had the privilege of learning with you this year. But I also love the fact that both of you completed the program from North Carolina, but had fundamentally different lived experiences at home. So Kamal, you would often zoom into our meetings from your car. Tell me a little bit more about what you were juggling as you were doing your degree program here.
Absolutely. Hi, Mom. So I am married, and I have two beautiful children, and so oftentimes my classes would overlap with parental commitments, so I would have to drive my son to baseball practice or my daughter to dance, and I would zoom in sometimes from the car. But ultimately, we as a family did what we needed to do in order to make sure that all of us were successful.
Absolutely. It was such a moment of admiration for all of us on the faculty as we were educating the OEL students and seeing what they were juggling in their real lives to show up and be fully present with us. As we sometimes had 3-hour-long classes in the evening, since we had folks around the globe, there were people who were waking up at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning to join us and be fully present and in conversation in class. It's remarkable what you all have been able to accomplish. Speaking of remarkable, you were zooming in from where oftentimes, Adam?
All over the place. As I was reflecting on it this morning, I recognized that I took class from 7 different states and 3 different countries during my time in the program. I know you mentioned North Carolina. That was just the middle aspect of my program that I was able to finish off there.
Fantastic. And you were in the military.
That's correct.
You were a behavioral health officer in the military while you were doing the program. And so this is exactly the kind of thing that we were hoping in creating a program that was online, is students who could not have relocated to Cambridge to be with us, but you could be fully present and part of the intellectual experience of the classroom and the social experience, building community as well. It looks to me, and it also sounds to me, like we are very much starting the formal part of the procession. You can see, again, those sort of triangular signs in front of the John Harvard statue, and there representing each of the houses. Those are the undergraduate houses where students live after their first year when they live in the yard. With the pomp and circumstance, the songs playing, we know that things are getting very exciting. We're waiting for our undergraduate students to come into the yard. If you see on camera 4, we have our graduate students who are already seated on the right side if you're looking towards the stage. But the left still has all of those white folding chairs that are eagerly waiting our undergraduate students to take their spot as they get ready to celebrate their graduation from the undergraduate college here at Harvard University. Now, Kamal, we were talking yesterday, so at the ceremony for OEL students, you specifically called out your wife and your children for the contribution that they made to your studies here. Where are they this morning? Are they here in the yard? Are they waiting to come back to Appian Way?
So my wife and children, hi Smoothie, hi Keith, hey Mal. They should be in the audience while also watching on their phones, but they were able to make it here today. And I also wanted to give a special shout out to all the families of students who make sacrifices so that we can all pursue our education, and then of course ultimately pursue professional success as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's so beautiful to see the families that were lined up along Mass Ave this morning, waiting so patiently to come into the yard to find their seats because they wanted to celebrate with their graduates as well. There were people carrying flowers. There was someone I saw who was carrying a placard of a baby picture of their young graduate in another time period. And you'll see marching in right now, that appears to be Leverett House. You'll see students again with their stole celebrating the identities that they bring here. Smart students wearing their sunglasses today. It's bright right now. It was raining before. It's going to be hot. We're going to cover all of the seasons today here in Cambridge. We would expect nothing less from our Boston weather. As they're processing, you see all of the loved ones who are lined up at that barrier dividing where the graduates are sitting, phones, cell phones, iPads out to document this moment when they see their own students coming in. And of course, the students are wearing their ceremonial hats, their mortar boards. Kamal has his on today. I was reading up for today, which side is it that the tassel is supposed to be on when you graduate? And I read a very sort of cute quote that said, nobody pays attention to that anymore because a strong breeze could remove your designation as a graduate on a whim. And so we no longer sort of adhere to that. There isn't that ceremonial moment. Now, can you tell me a bit about when you were on Appian Way this morning? What was the mood of the students? How are people feeling today?
It was jubilant. I think everyone recognized the gravity of the moment, the significance of our accomplishment as Harvard students, soon to be Harvard alumni, which puts us in a unique position to tap into a network of really knowledgeable, committed people. And it also enables us to pursue our own professional success and our own professional missions. So it was really jubilant, really celebratory. It was a great experience to line up with my classmates and to process over, each of us holding our own books that we'll donate to young people.
Wonderful. And did you have a drummer leading the procession this morning? That tends to be the tradition on Appian Way.
There was a drummer that kept us focused. And moving toward the yard.
You can hear a lot of music this morning, and there will actually be a lot of music during the ceremony itself. Starting with the first, which is the Star-Spangled Banner. That will be sung by Isabella E. Pena from the class of 2024. If that name is at all familiar to you, you might be a fan of American Idol, where she has competed. She has also sung the Star-Spangled Banner at Fenway Park, our baseball stadium here in Boston, Massachusetts. There are a couple of other things that we can be queued up and ready for as the ceremony begins. First, the meeting will be called to order. Our university marshal, Katie O'Dare, will invite the sheriff of Middlesex County, who attends in a top hat and tails, very ceremonial and festive, and he makes a broad proclamation calling our community to order as the ceremony officially begins. We will then have our Star-Spangled Banner, which I just mentioned, followed by the very important land acknowledgement. Cambridge and Boston are on the traditional and ancestral land of the Massachusetts people, and we will have Imam Dr. Khalil Abdur Rashid, who will tell us a little bit more about the importance of that. He will then be joined by Rabbi Getzel Davis, and the two of them together will be reading a prayer as we call this service to order, which is quite beautiful. It is normally just one member of our community who offers the prayer, but they are coming together. I saw them on stage rehearsing the other day, and it was really beautiful to see that moment of sort of sharing in this ceremony and representing our students. We will then have our president's welcome. So our interim president, President Alan Garber, will welcome our students, our faculty, staff, administration, and most importantly, the family and loved ones who are here celebrating with us. And then we will have some interesting student speeches. We will have first a Latin oration. So don't worry for folks at home, I do not speak or read Latin. There will be a transcription on the bottom of your screen. This is a nod to the old way of doing our ceremony. Originally, commencement was the opportunity for students to be tested and prove that they could graduate. Your tests are over, we're just celebrating. But as a nod to that tradition, one student competes every year to give our Latin oration. It was really beautiful. I had the chance to read it earlier this week. And what I love about this Latin oration is it is a very old language talking about a very new and contemporary topic. What we have is a focus of what it was to be a graduate of high school for the class of 2020. That was a COVID year. They did not have ceremony and celebration. They then transitioned into the college as students who were in bubbles, who were often learning online. And so we have this like wonderfully sort of historic laden sounding presentation, but the student who is giving that, Blake Alexander Lopez, is actually touching on these very contemporary themes. So it'll be beautiful for us to be able to hear that. We then will have a senior English address. This is Shruti Kumar, who will talk to us in English about the power of not knowing is the topic. Another beautiful address. That is an undergraduate student also from the class of 2024. And then there will be a graduate address. And so these are juried competitions led by faculty, staff, administration, and students to choose who has the honor to stand on stage and to share their beautiful words. The graduate address is being given by Robert L. Clinton, who is actually from the law school. And the topic of that is on being good. I'm excited to hear this morning. Now, what are the two of you excited about? As you think about going back into the audience, we can sort of see the assembled crowd through the edge of our tent right here. What are you excited for in the ceremony that's coming later this morning in a matter of about 20 minutes from now?
Yeah, I think it's just so exciting and really, truly an honor, and I mean it genuinely humbling as well, to be a part of such a group of graduates and illustrious graduates. And I think I was reflecting on my first tour of the campus, and actually you are the one that pointed out Dexter Gate to me, which was one of the archways of the many entrances to bring us into Harvard Yard. And the inscription over Dexter Gate says, "Enter to grow in wisdom, to depart to serve better thy country and thy kind." And so while I think this can be viewed as an individual pursuit of learning and of gaining wisdom, I love that charge of Dexter Gate to say that, well, when you leave here, how are you going to take that and serve the greater community? And so what I'm looking forward to today is being a part of this great community and just thinking about all the, and maybe I'm an idealist, but thinking about all the incredible ways that each of these people are going to go out and take that wisdom to serve their home communities in their own way.
Absolutely. That's beautiful, and it makes me think of our motto at the Ed School, which is learn to change the world. That opportunity. And Dexter Gate is indeed my favorite of the 25 gates that encircle here in Harvard Yard. Kamal, what about you? What are you most looking forward to for the rest of today? It is a day filled with ceremony. There is so much to come. What are you excited about?
I'd like to echo Adam's sentiment about being able to impact our community, global community, our families, and to do good work. But for the rest of today, I'm excited about celebrating with my family and my classmates. This is the last time we'll be together, at least for a while, in the same physical space. And so that's really exciting to be here and all be pleased and proud of our work and celebrating.
I love that. And I love the idea. So this is our last time maybe physically together, but you are joining the Harvard alumni community, which is tens of thousands strong around the globe. We used to actually celebrate for our undergraduate students. Their reunions happen at the same time as commencement. You can imagine that is a massive undertaking to run those two events. It's now actually pushed to the following week, so there's the focus on our graduates. But we have folks coming to join us from the 50th reunion class, and then there are students at each 5-year interval who can come back and celebrate a reunion in community. For the Graduate School of Education, especially for our online education leadership students, I feel like we're never not going to be in community because so much of it was built online. It's the way so many of us stay in touch with our loved ones, with our classmates, with the people who inspire us today. So we are rapidly approaching the moment when I am going to say goodbye to the two of you.
Thank you.
To say one more time, congratulations. I can't wait to see you cross the stage and get your diplomas later on this afternoon, not in this morning's ceremony, but those will be conferred from stage. And to thank you for being in conversation with me this morning. We're going to bring in an archivist who's got some historical objects that they will be sharing with us as well. So I'll let you both go back and take your seats with the Graduate School of Education. Please send my best to your classmates and express my congratulations as well.
Thank you, Professor
Thank you so much.
All right, everyone. So what you'll see is a sea of crimson-colored robes on your screen right now. Those, of course, are the doctoral robes of our students. You'll see folks are fanning themselves. If you are watching this from an air-conditioned space, you will not know quite how warm it is in the yard this morning, directly under the sun that is beating down on our students. Unfortunately, they brought me a fan because it's hot in here. And as you might imagine, these sort of polyester robes that we are all wearing, the regalia is not the most breathable of fabric either. So you'll see some of them wearing or fanning themselves or even holding portable fans, which is nice. I believe who we have right now is the sheriff of Middlesex County. You'll see him in his top hat. He also has a walking stick, ceremonial for the procession. This is the gentleman who will call us to order. It is such an iconic part of the celebration that we have. Every year, part of the tradition. Now, the older tradition is that the sheriffs would actually come in on horseback. That does not happen anymore. You can imagine that's a complicated part of the procession and no fun for the horses either. All right, what you'll see right now is members of our faculty and administration who are processing into the yard. They're walking quite quickly, so I can't necessarily call them out by name, but you will see them coming in their robes, proudly joining our president on stage as we get ready to begin our ceremony today. They're moving some things around with me as we get ready to show you some ceremonial objects. I think I just saw walking through the screen. Well, you'll see right there in the center of the screen that powder blue robe. Again, remember, you wear the doctoral color robe of the institution you graduated from, and if memory serves, the powder blue robe is for Columbia University. Oh, you'll start to hear some clacking going on. Those are members of the School of Public Health who are sharing their enthusiasm for this ceremony this morning. You'll see those clappers that they have in their hands. They make it a little hard for us to hear each other up here, but we love to know that they are expressing their enthusiasm and joy over the moment. And there we see members of the Harvard University Band. It's so important at these ceremonial events. Part of the tradition is being filled with music. You see them taking a quick pause as they're getting ready to play their next song. And that aisleway that you're seeing right now is the aisleway that basically is leading away from the steps of Widener Library towards the steps of the Memorial Chapel. That is what we will all be facing, the stage with that uncomfortable chair I mentioned earlier, where our president will sit, where the conferral of degrees will happen, and where we will all celebrate each and every class that is graduating, as well as the undergraduates themselves and the houses that they represent. Throughout the morning, you will have been seeing the flags hanging over. Those flags represent the professional schools, as well as the undergraduate houses. So if you are looking towards the stage on the left, those are the flags of all of the houses where our undergraduates live, including Dudley House, which is for our students who do not live in residence or who are part of the Dudley Co-op. On the right side of the stage are the flags representing each of the graduate and professional schools. There are many of them, 13 granting degrees, or 12 granting degrees, in addition to Harvard College. So the Business School, the Griffin Graduate School of Arts and Sciences, the Divinity School, Extension School, School of Education, the School of Engineering and Applied Sciences, the Kennedy School, the Law School, Medical School, Dental School, and the School of Public Health. Again, you'll see the Sheriff of Middlesex County processing through, building up the enthusiasm. He is being followed by Vice President and Vice Provost. You'll see that sign that they are carrying there to help us designate who is there. And again, the brightly colored robes and hoods that folks are wearing to celebrate the institutions where they earned their own degrees. And there we go with the ceremonial music celebrating as we get close to the start time of our procession. I am so excited to introduce you now to Sarah Martin, if you'll pop to us on camera 7. Sarah Martin is one of the archivists at the university. I have spent a lot of time in my own work in the archives, learning from the incredible objects that we are able to preserve. When I asked Sarah to join me as part of the ceremony today, she brought me down into the vault. Now the vault, I was a little scared going in, but I was promised the door wouldn't close behind us, and fortunately it did not, because in the vault we got to see some incredible objects that we couldn't bring out today, including W.E.B. Du Bois' dissertation for his doctorate. That is handwritten footnotes, because there was no way to process footnotes on a typewriter back then, as well as the daguerreotypes, the first sort of class book of Harvard students. So many incredible objects that are housed there, and you brought some for us today. So Sarah, welcome. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Alexis. I'm so glad to be here.
So this first object you have is College Book One. I can't believe I actually get to touch it.
I know.
Now tell us about College Book One. This is an incredibly important object.
Yes, absolutely. So College Book One are some of the earliest recorded records of the college. They are handwritten in multiple hands. They date from 1636, the first year of the college, to 1795. There are subsequent volumes in the College Book series, and they are really mixed in by dates, so we have other books that will include some information, but ultimately they're meeting minutes from the Board of Overseers. They include the earliest list of graduates from the college, dating back to 1642. But one of the most important pieces, we think, in here is some meeting minutes from the Board of Overseers from 1643, which includes the first known sketch of the Veritas seal. And it says on line 3 of that board, those board meeting
And they're
minutes.
going to pop it up on camera so that we can
Yeah.
actually see that image right now. This is the hand-drawn crest, the
Yes.
Veritas crest, that became the symbol for the institution. It is on all of the paraphernalia you can
Yes.
buy to commemorate grads, but it's also peppered around the yard and on all of the diplomas. So we're hoping they're going to be able to pop that up. But tell us a bit more about that ceremonial seal and its presence in the book.
Yeah, so in the book, it's drawn, I would say, by a novice artist. It's not necessarily something that's beautiful to look at, but it's amazing to see how similar that original sketch from 1643 remains today. And yes, we see it all. You can see it right now through the banners within the yard. And the meeting minutes just say, it is ordered that there shall be a college seal in form following. And it's really amazing in terms of the traditions that have stood the test of time. And what those look like and how often we see them.
Have it right here on our program, on the front of the program. Now, I'm told the ceremony is about to begin, so I want to make sure that we also show the handkerchief. Now, this is a really exciting object. You will see the yard is decked out in the color crimson, the official color of the university. And what Sarah is untying in this fantastic envelope right now is, well, Sarah, you tell us about this fantastic object. I'll help
So we'll
hold
leave
this
it
open.
folded here, but you can hold it if
Oh
you'd
my
like.
goodness, I can?
Yes.
Okay, here it is.
Yeah. So this is a scarf from a member of the crew team from 1858, which included a member named Charles Eliot, who ended up being one of the presidents of Harvard University. And they were planning to race in the Boston City Regatta of 1858. It was actually the first Harvard-Yale regatta.
Okay.
And they wanted to stand out as a team. So this scarf was from that race. It wasn't actually officially voted as the official color of the university until 1875, but it did win by an overwhelming vote.
Okay.
In between those 20 years or so, magenta was actually used just as frequently as crimson as the university color, mostly because crimson kept selling out in shops locally. So when it was voted to be crimson, it's been the color ever since. And then President Lowell, when he took office after Charles Eliot actually stepped down from his 40-year tenure, he worked with a dye house in Watertown to create the dye specifically that would be the crimson. It was this arterial red color. And the dye house actually kept that recipe, if you will, a secret for many decades. And so here we have the crimson.
And so this is the reason why my robes are this vibrant sort of crimson color, why you see the banners behind us in crimson. It all started right here with this handkerchief and a Harvard-Yale sports match that we had right here in Harvard. So thank you for bringing that.
You're so welcome.
One of the ceremonial objects along with College Book One that we're so excited to see. You'll see we have more folks processing in. These are members of our faculty. Again, many of the crimson robes, which we now know come directly from that handkerchief, but you'll see robes in vibrant purple, blue. These are robes not just from around the United States, but around the globe. And there are the undergraduates from Lowell House who are making their way to their seats. You'll see them again wearing the wonderful stoles from the Affinity celebrations that they have been a part of. We are getting ready. I'll just prepare you. So as our broadcast will end, you will go to the church bells of Memorial Church, which will ring out to officially bring this part of the ceremony to an open. And in case we don't have a chance to say an official goodbye there before Sarah shows us our next object, I'd just like to say thank you to all of you for joining us on our broadcast this morning so we could share a little bit more about the experience of our students, about what our faculty and administrators have done to celebrate the students who met the degree requirements for the class of 2024 today. And we've got one more ceremonial object I believe we have time for before that important bell tolls to tell us that we are beginning.
Sure.
So tell us about this one, Sarah.
Absolutely. So this is a mortarboard, which will look familiar to plenty of folks that are watching the broadcast today, as there are plenty of them in the yard. This is a mortarboard that dates back to 1857, and it was worn by a college graduate, Eben Richards, and then it was subsequently worn over the next century by his son, his grandson, and his great-grandson.
Oh,
and this
my
is just-
goodness.
I know. Talk about a family legacy.
An iconic hat. So the mortarboard is now a classic part of graduation ceremonies. We even saw Sasha, our community engagement dog, had her own mortarboard. It is traditionally part of the regalia that is worn by our graduates and by our faculty. An interesting note, this actually has historic origins in the United Kingdom. We actually wear these very voluminous robes and hats and other details because the faculty members who were teaching in Oxbridge, Cambridge and Oxford, were trying to stay warm as they were leading their lessons. It used to be that when faculty were teaching back in the day, they would wear these robes. Now we keep them in our closets or in our offices and only bring them out for these very, very special occasions. Now, as we're wrapping up our broadcast, Sarah, I know that there is an exhibit happening at Pusey Library at the archives. So you want to tell the folks at home if they have time while they're here this weekend or if they want to visit online.
Absolutely, thank you. Yeah, we just opened a new exhibition that we're very excited about. It's called Archives Inside Out. It's available and open to the public and will be up for several months. But it's an inside look at everything that the Harvard University Archives does, including all the services it provides to the university in terms of documenting university history and really preserving especially the legacy of our students. It was a very collaborative exhibition where our staff was able to submit items that they wanted to show off the work they do and the special skills that they have. So please come by Pusey Library during our open hours. We are open to the public and we would love to see you.
Wonderful. I mean, the oldest institution of higher education in America, Harvard University, founded in 1636, and we have an incredible collection of artifacts from the time that our students have been here in Cambridge, and which will now include all sorts of important things like our newest graduates from our History Making Online Education Leadership Program. All right, I've been given the sign to wrap up as we get ready to go to the church bells at Memorial Church. We have been honored to be part of this day for all of you, and we join you in sending so much joy and celebration to the students who have completed their degree requirements and are part of our class of 2024. Enjoy the rest of the celebrations, everyone. Bye.
Mr. Sheriff, pray give us order.
As the High Sheriff of Middlesex County, I declare that the meeting will be in order.
Please rise, if you are able, for the national anthem to be sung by Isabella Peña. Please remain standing for the chaplains of the day, Rabbi Getzel Davis and Imam Dr. Khalil Abdul Rashid, to open the exercises.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Harvard University is located on the traditional and ancestral land of the Massachusetts, the original inhabitants of what is now known as Boston and Cambridge. We pay respect to the people of the Massachusetts tribe, past and present, and honor the land itself, which remains sacred to the Massachusetts people.
We gather here today to celebrate a momentous occasion, a day filled with joy, with pride, and with great accomplishment. Often when we gather together, we notice, ironically, the ways in which we are alone. we find ourselves navigating the seas of loneliness and isolation, yearning for connections and understanding. Too often we seek community in standing together against others, against our neighbors, even against injustice, fueled by hate. Rabbi Nachman of Breslov offers us all an alternative, describing the experience of alienation and separateness. He uses the metaphor of entering a dark room where all we can perceive is darkness. With patience and time, he teaches, our eyes adjust, and we find that we can in fact see, even by the light of a single candle. Paradoxically, we can actually see better in darkness than when overwhelmed by a bright glare. Darkness dilates our eyes. It opens us. Our own vulnerability, fears, and losses attune us to a universal human experience. I bless us today with another way to engage with our sense of separateness: compassion. Compassion lies not in numbing our alienation or fighting against it. Instead, compassion, literally suffering together, comes from recognizing that our own experience of isolation resembles the universal experience of others. It is our vulnerability, not our strength, that makes us human. In our separateness, we find you, O Lord. So as you step out into the world, carry with you the knowledge that on one level, you are alone. The experience of separateness will follow you through life. Do not run from it. Do not numb it. Do not waste it. Let it transform you. Let it inspire you. Let its universality call you to compassion, to sacred service, and to love.
Let us pray. In the name of our Lord, the Lord of compassion, the giver of merciful love, we praise you and seek your help in all matters. You created us as different people, races, tribes, and nations, so that we would come to know one another and to understand that in your divine eyes, the most honored of us are the ones most mindful of you. But we have felt alone, so help us feel together. Help us to be together, to heal together, to uplift each other together. Help us remember that we are indeed brothers and sisters of one another, that we are to cultivate and preserve peaceful bonds with each other, and that we are to be mindful and grateful for all the blessings you have graced us with. We recall the example of Abraham, who courageously faced the blazing fire in isolation. Kindle inside us that same spirit and grant us the courage to weather the storms of hate by cultivating new climates of hope. Lighten for us the burdens that weigh so heavily on our minds and hearts. Gift us ease after our hardships. Give us ease despite our hardships. Expand our hearts. Gift us fluency in the language of unity through the dialect of restraint with the tongue of tolerance. Help us to call others to the path of love and justice, using wisdom with courage, conviction with courtesy, gentleness with tenacity. You've gathered us here as one community. And despite our differences, our traumas, our loss, and our loneliness, we are indeed together in our need for you and in our hope in you. We ask out of your loving mercy and grace that you position us to remember where we came from, who we are, and what role we must play, to do our part to make this world a better place for us all and for those to come.
Amen. Shalom Aleichem.
Assalamu alaikum.
May peace be with us all.
To all assembled in this majestic theater to cheer for the members of the class of 2024, welcome. Members of the dazzling class of 2024, this is your day. A day to celebrate and shine. Congratulations. We are gathered here today at the heart of our campus with family and friends who have traveled from across the country and around the world to acknowledge the achievement, to celebrate the conferral of degrees, and to listen and to learn from our distinguished speaker. As our ceremony proceeds, some among us may choose to take the liberty of expressing themselves to draw attention to events unfolding in the wider world. It is their right to do so, but it is their responsibility to do so with our community and this occasion in mind. That said, I acknowledge that this moment of joy for us coincides with moments for others that we cannot comprehend. Moments of fear and dread, grief and anguish, suffering and pain. Elsewhere, people are experiencing the worst days of their lives. Here and there, we are all human beings seeking connection and contentment, finding comfort in community and rituals, trying simply, as difficult as it may be, to make sense of things as they are, to make sense of one another and of ourselves. Sympathy and empathy atrophy without exercise. We will now observe a minute of silence. Every Harvard class enters a world in need. Yours is no exception. No matter your field or your discipline, you will have opportunities to help fulfill those needs and to make things better. May you continue to approach your dealings with diligence and integrity, to treat others with care and with compassion, and to support and encourage one another as you have done these many days. If, along the way, you find yourself disheartened, or maybe doom-scrolling in bed, we all do it, fortify yourself with the work of the Research University. Having spent my career at two of the best of them, I can say with confidence, while admitting a slight bias, of course, that no other type of institution does more good in the world. Much of what stirs people's hearts and gives them hope for longer and better lives, for stronger and safer communities, for a sustainable future, can be traced back to institutions like this one and to people like you. Members of the class of 2024, go forth today in celebration and wake tomorrow with determination. Meet the world with open arms, knowing always that Harvard will be here to welcome you back. Thank you, and congratulations.
Latin salutatory. Distantia propinquior, candidate for the degree of Bachelor of Arts in Classics and Linguistics, Blake Alexander Lopez.
Avete, praeses Garber, clarissimi decani, sapientes professores, dilectae familiae, amici, hospites, condiscipuli, omnes, toto in mundo, avete sodales! Hodie, mist magnus honor, huius orationes vobis enuntiandae, in lingua antiqua, illustri et erudita, quae verborum superfluorum ut yes et no. Omnino caret, et pluribus vestrum ornamentum pulcherrimum juxta interpretationem Anglicam quamquidem legitis. Spatium inter as duas textus columnas brevius esse non potest, sed distantia non potest esse maior. Nos, huius anno 10.000 studentes, similem distantiat vertimus primo in campum advenientes. Itaque, primi studentes Harvardiani facti sumus, quibus nulla memoriast de vita Harvardiana ante pestilentiam. Nobis in cubiculis singilat inclusis ut monarchi in cellulis suis, campus Harvardianus vacus manebat. Silentio perturbato modo a susurris festinantibus inter duos vel tres studentes congregantes in scalis bibliothecae videneres, quis autem possit oblivisci memorabilia festa habita summa communione. Incubus ridiculae scaenae nos representabant et facies nostrae figuras animalium pictorum sumevant, innumerabiles inter nos textus commutamus de praeceptis nostris, sed ubi tempus eorum scribendorum adforat. Solituro scripturae nostrae comparari poterat cum ea Boeti, consolationes philosophiae scriptoris, carnefic eminente in carceris. Licet altiorem philosophiam exhiberent nostri tractatus scripturae expositoriae, et poenae quae penderent super capitibus nostris, multo terribiliores essent. In his multis, alisque modis, spatium inter nos brevius esse non poterat, sed distantia non poterat esse maior. His difficultatibus non obstantibus mirabile visu, quam fortem icitiam noster ordo habeat. Etiam si nostrae conversandi artes leviter sunt nutritae, una cum ceteris lente et inconcene eas struximus. Etiam si nunc occasionabuimus coniungendarum quarundam sodalitatum quae ante pestilentierant novas nostras condidimus. Et mentes etiam ut sodalitates essent domo similes catulos amabiles. Experientia nobis ostendit plane. Contra quascumquem provisas difficultates nos bene instructos esse. Mutuo auxilio nitentes ad inveniendas vias novas, isolitas, saepius legitimas, atque omnium audacissimas, totus mundus expectatione maxima videt, quid hinc faciamus. Gaudeamus egitur, avete atque valete!
Senior English Address, The Power of Not Knowing. Candidate for the degree of Bachelor of Arts in History and Science and in Economics, Shruti Kumar.
Today, we are celebrated for what we know. In fact, for most of our lives, we've learned to feel a sense of accomplishment in the awards, accolades, and honors that line our childhood homes. How much we know and how we leveraged it got us far. It got us here. But today, I want to convince you of something counterintuitive that I've learned from the class of 2024. The power of not knowing. I grew up in the Great Plains of Nebraska, alongside cattle ranches and cornfields. As the eldest daughter of South Asian immigrants, I was the first in my family to attend college here in the US. There was a lot I didn't know. When it came time, I asked my parents how to apply to colleges, and they too said, I don't know. The words, I don't know, used to make me feel powerless, like there was no answer, and therefore no way, as if I was admitting defeat. From Nebraska to Harvard, I found myself redefining this feeling of not knowing. I discovered a newfound power in how much I didn't know. I didn't know a field called the history of science even existed. And I now find myself a graduate of the department. Here, for the first time in my life, I had a professor of color, a historian of science who taught me history is just as much about the stories we don't know as the stories we do. In the history of science, we often look for what is missing. What documents are not in the archives? And whose voices are not captured in history? I've learned silence is rarely empty, often loud. I've learned this not only in the classroom, but also from the class of 2024. In reflecting on our collective moments at Harvard, I've realized it's the moments of uncertainty from which something greater than we could have ever imagined grows. And our class has experienced more than our fair share of the unknown. In our first year, during COVID, we didn't have Annenberg to meet 100 people in an hour and walk out remembering 5 names. What did we do? Hefes became the new Annenberg, and we learned to connect differently, building quality over quantity in our friendships. In our sophomore year, Roe v. Wade was overturned, and there was, and still is, in many parts of the country, an omnipresent uncertainty in accessing reproductive health care. In our junior year, Harvard faced the Supreme Court and the decision to reverse affirmative action. Whether we realize it or not, we've been swimming in uncharted waters. Which brings me to our senior year. A year on campus marked by enormous uncertainty. In the fall, my name and identity, alongside other Black and brown students at Harvard, was publicly targeted. For many of us students of color, doxing left our jobs uncertain, our safety uncertain. This semester, our freedom of speech and our expressions of solidarity became punishable. Leaving our graduations uncertain. As I stand before you today, I must take a moment to recognize my peers. The 13 undergraduates The 13 undergraduates in the class of 2024 who will not graduate today. I am deeply disappointed by the intolerance for freedom of speech and the right to civil disobedience on campus. Over 1,500 students had petitioned. Nearly 500 staff and faculty had spoken up, all overwhelmingly against the unprecedented sanctions. As an American and as a Harvard graduate, for me, what is happening on campus is about liberty. This is about civil rights and upholding democratic principles. The students had spoken. The faculty had spoken. Harvard, do you hear us? Harvard, do you hear us? We are in a moment of intense division and disagreement in our community over the events in Gaza. I see pain, anxiety, and unrest across campus. But it's now, in a moment like this, that the power of not knowing becomes critical. Maybe we don't know what it's like to be ethnically targeted. Maybe we don't know what it's like to come face to face with violence and death. But we don't have to know. Solidarity is not dependent on what we know, because not knowing is an ethical stance. It creates space for empathy, humility, and a willingness to learn. I choose to say, I don't know, so I'm empowered to ask, to listen. I believe an important type of learning takes place, especially in moments of uncertainty, when we lean into conversations without assuming we have all the answers. Can we see the humanity in people we don't know? Can we feel the pain of people with whom we disagree? As we graduate, what we know, our material knowledge, may not matter so much anymore. The truth is, it's what we don't know and how we navigate it that will set us apart moving forward. Uncertainty is uncomfortable. But I encourage you to dive into the deep end of discomfort. Engage with the nuances. And bring with you a beginner's mind, an ethic of not knowing. Emily Dickinson had said, "Not knowing when the dawn will come, I open every door." Thank you, and congratulations.
Graduate English Address on Being Good. Candidate for the degree of Doctor of Law, Robert L. Clinton IV.
Good morning. What a tough act to follow. Being here sometimes feels unreal. I live in this beautiful, complicated community. I've got wonderful friends. Shout out to HLS. Kind-hearted professors have taught me so much more than just the law. And when I think about the dinner parties, the slices of Joe's Pizza at midnight, whoa, the kisses, the encounters with wild turkeys on my way to class and wild rabbits on my way home, I'm grateful because Harvard has, in many ways, been my refuge. But not so much this year. Being on campus this year, I've been reminded of just how exposed we are. Anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, anti-Arab bias, doxing, death threats, losing jobs, losing a president, losing friends, losing our right to free speech. I had bought into the myth that that kind of stuff wasn't supposed to happen here. I thought that in our little bubble we would be safe. I thought that Harvard was a shield and that all the things that we are, well-educated, hardworking, successful, even beautiful, would protect us from the problems of the world. But I was wrong. Now, our choice is to either be upset about our vulnerability or to use that as a basis for connecting with others. And that choice will manifest in pivotal moments when people will look to us for guidance. For better or for worse, we will be decision makers and we will have discretion. Over and over, we will bear responsibility for making decisions that will change other people's lives. Think about just some of the people whose lives we may help shape. Women dealing with the fallout of having their reproductive rights stripped. Immigrants fleeing places where there are no universities left from which to graduate. Trans and queer people forced to hide who they are. Climate refugees escaping homes that have become uninhabitable. One of the 1 in 3 black boys who can expect to go to jail in his lifetime. And citizens whose only mistake was being born poor in a country like America that criminalizes poverty. No matter what jobs we get in our lives and in our careers, we will encounter these people and others in circumstances they did not choose. And the question is, will we use what has happened on campus this year to justify building walls around ourselves in a misguided attempt to keep the bad stuff out, to keep the bad people out, to separate ourselves from the rest of the world? Or will we seek out and build relationships with people who do not have our privilege and with whom we disagree? Graduates, you know what we must do. The degrees we're receiving call us to action. Your degree, it's like a note from mom to take the chicken out of the freezer. And if that sounds inconsequential or unimportant to you, you must not have a mom like mine. Because let me tell you, as wonderful and kind-hearted as she is, when I was growing up, if I didn't take that chicken out, we had a problem. Love you, Mom. It's the same thing with these degrees. If we don't use our Harvard education and the power that comes with it to be in solidarity with others, it will be a problem. And not only will we disappoint our families, but we will fail to fulfill our obligation to use this education to make the world more just and more compassionate. When I think about how I want us to use our educations after we graduate, a line from Steinbeck's East of Eden comes to mind. Now that you don't have to be perfect, you can be good. But I say we must be good, and that might be different than what we're used to. Striving to be perfect, that's what got us to Harvard and what got us to this day. We are here in part because we have learned how to work incredibly hard and because we know what it takes to be successful. But there's a difference between working hard and doing good. And there's a difference between being successful and being good. Now, thanks. Being good can take many forms. Standing up to dictators, being mentors, using your Harvard connections to help people who didn't go here, voting, not being silent or neutral or apathetic in the face of injustice. And to that end, speaking out against the fact that America has 5% of the world's population, but incarcerates 20% of the world's prisoners, and demanding a ceasefire in Gaza. Now, there are many different ways to be good, and as we strive to be good, we will not always agree. There's complexity in what it means to make the world a better place. But I would be remiss to not say that it's not very good to announce the day before commencement that 13 seniors will not graduate. But let me offer something universal. Being good means tapping into your own sense of vulnerability and using it to pay attention, to connect with others. No ego, no moral superiority. It means seeing yourself in other people's struggles, even if they're different from yours. And it means that when you catch yourself judging someone for their circumstances or choices, you force yourself to think again. The times that we are in call for us to no longer seek refuge in ivory towers and in gated communities. Today, and each day moving forward, we must do more than just work hard, more than just be successful, more than just be perfectionists. We must make the affirmative choice to be good, because not being good would be a waste of the privilege of having graduated from this beautiful and complicated place, Harvard. Godspeed, congratulations, and go do good.
Addresses by selected candidates. Now, these addresses by selected candidates for ordinary degrees being ended, the deans of the several departments will now present to the president and fellows and to the board of overseers, in the favoring presence of the family and friends here assembled, the candidates on whom the various academic distinctions are with due ceremony to be conferred.
As the Dean of the Faculty of Arts and Sciences, I invite the deans from each of the schools within the FAS to present their degree candidates. Near the close, the Dean of Harvard College will present candidates for the first degree in arts or in science.
As Dean of the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences, I present the candidates for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy and invite them to rise.
I confer on you the degree of Doctor of Philosophy and welcome you to the ancient and universal company of scholars. Congratulations.
I now present the candidates for the degree of Master of Arts and invite them to rise.
I confer on you the degree of Master of Arts and certify that you have surmounted with distinction an important stage of graduate study. Congratulations.
Dean of the School of Engineering and Applied Sciences, I invite to you the candidates for the degree of Master of Science and Masters of Engineering and invite them to rise. As Dean of the School of Engineering and Applied Sciences, I present to you the candidates of Masters of Science and Masters of Engineering and invite them to rise.
I confer on you the degree of Master of Science or Master of Engineering and affirm that you stand ready to address societal challenges through foundational science with translational impact. Congratulations.
As Dean, I present to you the degree candidates for the Harvard Extension School and invite them to rise.
I confer on you the degrees for which your studies have qualified you and admit you to the Fellowship of Educated Individuals. Congratulations.
As Dean of the Faculty of Medicine, I welcome my fellow deans of dental medicine and medical education to introduce the degree candidates in the programs for which these deans are responsible.
As Dean, I present the degree candidates from the School of Dental Medicine and invite them to rise.
I confer on you the degrees for which your studies have qualified you and declare that you are ready for practice and research in a demanding branch of medicine. Congratulations.
As the Dean for Medical Education, I present the degree candidates from the medical school and I invite them to rise.
I confer on you the degrees for which your studies have qualified you and declare that you are ready to pursue and advance an honorable and merciful calling. Congratulations.
As Dean, I present the degree candidates from the Divinity School and invite them to rise.
I confer on you the degrees for which your studies have qualified you, and declare that you are well prepared to foster the health and vitality of communities of faith, to further scholarship in religious studies, and to help in shaping the shared values of the broader society. Congratulations.
As Dean, I present the degree candidates from the law school and invite them to rise.
I confer on you the degrees for which your studies have qualified you, and declare that you are ready to aid in the shaping and application of those wise restraints that make us free. Congratulations.
As Dean, I present the degree candidates from the business school and invite them to rise.
I confer on you the degrees for which your studies have qualified you, and testify that you are ready to lead people and organizations in enterprises that will serve society. Congratulations.
As Dean, I present the degree candidates from the Graduate School of Design and invite them to rise.
I confer on you the degrees for which your studies have qualified you, and declare your competence to lead in shaping the spaces in which we live. Congratulations.
As Dean, I present the degree candidates of the School of Public Health and invite them to rise.
I confer on you the degrees for which your studies have qualified you, and declare that you are well prepared to generate and utilize knowledge to improve health throughout the world. Congratulations.
As Dean, I present the degree candidates from the Graduate School of Education.
I confer on you the degrees for which your studies have qualified you, and declare that you are well prepared to guide and serve the learning needs of contemporary society. Congratulations.
As Dean, I present the degree candidates from the School of Government and ask them to rise.
I confer on you the degrees for which your studies have qualified you, and testify that you are well prepared to serve as public leaders and to improve public policy and administration throughout the world. Congratulations.
As Dean of Harvard College, I present the candidates for the degrees of Bachelors of Arts or Bachelor of Science and invite them to rise.
By virtue of the authority delegated to me, I confer on you the first degree in arts or in science and admit you to the fellowship of educated individuals. Congratulations. by virtue of the authority delegated to me by the two governing boards, I now confer the following honorary degrees. The provost will introduce the candidates.
Born in Venezuela, the son of a trombonist and a voice teacher, he took up the violin as a child. As a teenager, he found his calling in conducting. At a tempo nothing short of prestissimo, he rose to become one of the great and most dynamic conductors of our time. He currently leads both the Los Angeles Philharmonic and the Simón Bolívar Symphony Orchestra of Venezuela. His ebullient music making consistently captivates audiences worldwide. As it's been said, musicians and audiences are unable to resist his infectious joy. In 2026, he will become the music and artistic director of the New York Philharmonic, extending a legacy that includes Leonard Bernstein, Harvard College class of 1939. He is a passionate educator, founder of Youth Orchestra Los Angeles, and he has ventured far beyond classical music stages, including appearances on Sesame Street and The Simpsons, as well as a Super Bowl halftime show. From the time his grandmother gave him a baton when he was 8 years old, he has vividly shown us how music can elevate our sights and spirits and change the world. We honor Maestro Gustavo Dudamel.
If music be the food of love, he is passion's chef supreme. The dude who delights us with Bernsteinian gusto. He conjures sonic magic with the wave of his baton. Gustavo Adolfo Dudamel Ramirez, Doctor of Music.
She grew up in Boston's Chinatown. Early on, she says, she learned that you need to understand core values and help people view what is important in their lives. She studied nursing at Boston College and UCSF. She spent 25 years at OnLock, an innovative nonprofit network in California, providing community-based healthcare and social services for older people in culturally diverse communities. Thanks to her outstanding leadership, including as CEO, OnLock's programs became the prototype for PACE, the federally sponsored program of all-inclusive care for the elderly, which took root in more than 30 states nationwide. She has gone on to other major leadership roles as president of the American Society on Aging, as president of the American Association of Retired Persons, and as CEO of the American Geriatric Society. Few people in our time have worked harder and done more to improve the lives of older adults, not just their health, but their overall well-being. For all she has done to make the world better for countless seniors and their loved ones, we honor Jenny Chin Hansen.
selfless in service to seniors in need, fervent in striving for systemic change. A venerated nurse who's made caring her credo. Her compassion for others never gets old. Jenny Chin Hansen, Doctor of Humane Letters.
In high school physics class, he first saw how math can illuminate how the world works. It seemed to him almost like magic. He got his bachelor's and doctoral degrees at MIT. He co-wrote a path-breaking book on supersymmetry, a key concept in modern particle physics. He went on to a decades-long career as an eminent theoretical physicist in the rarefied realm of superstring theory. A longtime professor at the University of Maryland, he is not only a distinguished researcher, but also a valued mentor and an ardent exponent of the value of scientific imagination and discovery. He is also engaged deeply with science policy, including as a member of the President's Council of Advisors on Science and Technology. Past president of both the American Physical Society and the National Society of Black Physicists, he was recognized with the nation's highest scientific honor, the National Medal of Science. The medal reflected not only his scientific research, but also his extraordinary efforts to engage the public on the beauty and wonder of fundamental physics. We honor Professor Jim Gates.
A first-string physicist whose mathematical forays help us to fathom the fabric of the universe. An educator who unlocks the gates to opportunity. He evinces how imagination can encircle the world. Sylvester James Gates, Jr., Doctor of Science.
To read her poetry, it has been said, is to hear the voice of the earth, to see the landscape of time and timelessness, and to get a glimpse of people who struggle to understand, to know themselves, and to survive. A member of the Muskogee Creek Nation, she is esteemed for a distinctive voice that speaks with deep insight and eloquence to the experience of Native peoples, and to universal themes of remembrance, transcendence, and reverence for the natural world. Known for poetry that has been called precise, unsentimental, and miraculous, and a timeless gift to the world. She is one of only 2 poets who have served 3 consecutive terms as Poet Laureate of the United States. She is not only a poet, but also a memoirist, essayist, playwright, and children's book author. And she is not only a writer, but also a musician. Her accolades include a Native American Music Award for Female Artist of the Year, alongside her plethora of poetry honors. Her art, it is said, transforms bitterness to beauty, fragmentation to wholeness, and trauma to healing. We honor Joy Harjo.
searching for transcendence as she traces trails of tears, seeking hope amid struggle, light amid loss, an inspiriting paragon of poetic justice who hears in the night sky the bird songs of dawn. Joy Harjo, Doctor of Literature.
He grew up as a self-confessed nerd in Pontiac, Michigan, the devoted son of a mother who survived the Holocaust and a father whose family fled the pogroms in Eastern Europe. He was a sailor, an Eagle Scout, and a ham radio buff. He loved math and hung out at science fairs. He went to college at MIT, then earned 3 degrees from Harvard, JD, MPP, and PhD, but his inner nerd drew him back to MIT, where he served 24 years on the faculty and rose to become chancellor. Word of his leadership skills traveled up the Red Line to Tufts, where he served as president from 2001 to 2011. He strengthened Tufts in countless ways that the Jumbos, true to their character, will never forget. After Tufts, he emerged as a sought-after advisor to college and university leaders nationwide, while serving at Harvard's Graduate School of Education and at the Harvard Kennedy School. And in 2018, he accepted the call to serve as Harvard's 29th president. He made his mark as a champion of opportunity and public service, as a steadfast defender of international scholarly exchange, and as a catalyst of initiatives in areas such as climate change, quantum science, the future of cities, and natural and artificial intelligence. He also encouraged the university to face up to the legacy of slavery, and he thoughtfully guided Harvard through the unprecedented challenges posed by COVID. He did all this with a rare combination of confidence and humility, decisiveness and empathy, devotion to academic values, and dedication to how universities can serve the world. With deep thanks to one of higher education's most admired leaders, we honor the pride of Pontiac, Lawrence S., or as he'd insist we call him, Larry Bacow.
His deft hand nimble on an often slippery tiller, his clear eye focused on the gleam of new horizons, his sharp mind buoyed by humility and heart. He steered the Crimson Fleet through a time of change and storm. Lawrence S. Larry Bacow, Doctor of Laws.
She moved from Manila to New Jersey at age 10. Her high school classmates voted her most likely to succeed. They got it right. She studied English and theater at Princeton, then returned to the Philippines on a Fulbright scholarship. Before long, she embraced journalism and embarked on a career of extraordinary courage, and consequence. She became an investigative reporter. She served as CNN bureau chief in Manila and Jakarta. She headed the news division at ABS-CBN, the largest media network in the Philippines. She wrote books on terrorism. And in 2012, she launched the innovative digital media company known as Rappler. Over time, she has gained international acclaim as one of the most intrepid journalists on the planet. She is particularly known for her efforts to expose government corruption, to combat the manipulation of social media, and to draw attention to the violent anti-drug campaign during the tenure of Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte. Faced with intense harassment, threats, and arrest, she persisted, forging forward with what she calls the battle for facts. For her fearless dedication to a free and independent press, she was awarded a share of the Nobel Peace Prize in 2021. We honor Maria Ressa.
Amid times of unrest, facing threats and arrest, she rivets her focus on facts, truth, and trust. An intrepid, innovative, investigative journalist, irrepressible in pressing for the freedom of the press. Maria A. Ressa, Doctor of Laws. In the name of this Society of Scholars, I declare that these persons are entitled to the rights and privileges pertaining to their several degrees, and that their names are to be forever borne on its roll of honorary members. It is now my privilege to invite one of our honored guests to address this assembly. Graduates, family, colleagues, friends, let us welcome to the podium Maria Ressa.
Oh my God, Harvard, you're going to give me a heart attack. Whew. Thank you, President Garber. And thank you, former President Gay, who called me last year to extend this offer. It's an incredible honor to address the distinguished Harvard faculty, the mysterious Harvard Corporation, and the loving friends and family who have traveled far and close to be here with you today. But wait, most of all, despite everything, because you worked really hard, I am so thrilled to congratulate the battle-tested graduates of the class of 2024. Thank you. This was a harder speech to write than the Nobel lecture, you know. Because since 2021, the world has gotten so much worse. We live in a dystopian, science fiction world where everything can change in the blink of an eye, when you have been forced to turn crisis into opportunity. No one knows this better than the class of 2024. A pandemic meant no high school graduation. Your first year here in lockdown, wearing masks, afraid of contact. You laid out all of the problems, the existential problems we face today. We were pushed online in the virtual world, and that made things worse because the accelerant to conflict and violence, to us against them, to wars that have killed tens of thousands, sparking historic campus protests, that accelerant is technology. It turned what once used to be our civilized, Harvard, thinking slow, public discussions into what's become a gladiator's battle to the death. I know this firsthand. The Philippines, America's former colony, 110 million people, was social media's petri dish. For a crucial 6 years, Filipinos spent the most time online and on social media globally. And we became the testing ground for these American tech companies, their platforms' designs exploited by power and money in information warfare. It became worse when TikTok joined the fray. If the tactics worked on us, it was deployed for you. That's what happened in 2016 when 126 million Americans were targeted by Russian disinformation, and on January 6, in the violence on Capitol Hill, when Silicon Valley sins came home to roost. Because I accepted your invitation to be here today, I was attacked online and called anti-Semitic by power and money because they want power and money. While the other side was already attacking me because I had been on stage with Hillary Clinton. Hard to win, right? But I'd already survived information operations from my own government. Free speech used to pound you to silence. 90 hate messages per hour in 2016. That was 8 years ago. Fed me death threats for breakfast. They attacked the way I looked, the way I sound. They dehumanized me. But, you know, the funniest thing, because when you're the target, you just have to laugh, is that I was supposedly both CIA and communist. None of these were true. But the end goal, please know this, is chaos. Break down trust. If you don't have the right information, you can't act. That's partly the reason why journalists are on the front lines. The meta-narrative, disinformation network seeded against us, and this is globally, was journalist equals criminal. Then the bottom-up attacks in the Philippines against us began on social media. That was followed a year later by the weaponization of the law. In 2019, I was arrested twice in about a month, posted bail 8 times in about 3 months. I thought I was gonna have to do a workflow for arrests. But before it all ended, I had 10 arrest warrants. Rappler and I paid more in bail and bonds than our dictator's wife, Imelda Marcos. You remember her shoes? She was convicted for corruption, but I did nothing wrong except to do my job, to report the facts, to hold power to account. For this, I had to be okay with spending the rest of my life in jail. At one point, it was more than a century in jail that I faced. To be here today, I had to ask for permission to travel from our Supreme Court. Anyone else out here on bail? Just me? It taught me a valuable lesson. I loved the speeches of the students today. They were incredible because these times will hopefully teach you the same lesson I learned. You don't know who you are until you're tested, until you fight for what you believe in, because that defines who you are. But you're Harvard. You better get your facts right. Because now you are being tested. The chilling effect means that many are choosing to stay silent because there are consequences to speaking out. I'm shocked at the fear and anger, the paranoia splitting open the major fracture lines of society, the inability to listen. What happened to us in the Philippines? It's here. The campus protests are testing everyone in America. Protests are healthy. They shouldn't be violent. Protests give voice. They shouldn't be silenced. But you live in complicated, complex times where I think administrators and students also faced an unacknowledged danger. Technology, making everything faster, meaner, more polarized, with insidious information operations online that are dividing generations. Rappler will be documenting this and publishing in the next couple of weeks. Maybe Rappler's experience can help you. After all, we were in hell and now we're in purgatory, right? It can get better. And here are 3 ways we've learned, right? 1, choose your best self. 2, turn crisis into opportunity. And 3, it's wonderful to have heard this several times from the stage today. 3, be vulnerable. 1, choose your best self. Set and stay focused on your goals, but know the values you live by. How important is power? How much money will make you happy? Because the only thing you can control in the world is you. Too often, we let ourselves off the hook, refusing to look at our own difficult or ugly truths. We rationalize bad behavior. Remember that character is created in the sum of all the little choices we make. If you're not clear about your values, you may wake up one day and realize you don't like the person you've become. So choose your best self. You're standing on the rubble of the world that was. Recognize it. I said this in the Nobel lecture. An atom bomb exploded in our information ecosystem because social media turned our world upside down, spreading lies faster than facts while amplifying fear and anger, fueling hatred by design for profit. Whether it's the AI of social media or generative AI, we don't have integrity of information. We don't have integrity of facts. And here's 3 sentences I've said over and over. Without facts, you can't have truth. Without truth, you can't have trust. Without these 3, we have no shared reality, no rule of law, no democracy. We can't begin to solve existential problems like climate change. This outrage economy, built on our data, micro-targeting us, transformed our world, rewarding the worst of humanity. Online violence is real-world violence. And as you've pointed out, people are dying from genocide in Myanmar, fueled by Facebook, according to the UN and Meta itself, to Ukraine, Sudan, Haiti, Armenia, Gaza. The challenge today is whether our international rules-based order still works. Does it? The challenge is justice, core to our humanity. Too many powerful people are getting away with impunity, from countries to companies, and it is dividing us in ways that are literally destroying us, destroying democracy, destroying trust. In Cambridge Commons, just on the other side of that gate, there's a marker to American patriot William Dawes, who, like his more famous friend Paul Revere, rode through here sounding the alarm. The British are coming. Well, today's equivalent, an alarm that's made me feel like Cassandra and Sisyphus combined, because I feel like I've been shouting since 2016 when I watched our institutions crumble quickly in the Philippines. And I will say it now. The fascists are coming. In 2023, the Global Democracy Index fell to its lowest level ever. Today, 71% of the world lives under autocratic rule. We are electing illiberal leaders democratically. And once in power, these autocrats not only crush institutions in their countries, but they form alliances and create Kleptocracy Inc. This is your challenge. It is our challenge. And Harvard played a role in getting us here. 7 years ago, Mark Zuckerberg stood at this podium, finally got his degree, and said that his life's purpose was to connect the whole world. Move fast, break things, Facebook said. Well, it broke democracy. In my book, How to Stand Up to a Dictator, we were fighting too. I named two. Not just Rodrigo Duterte in the Philippines. He's one man who crushed institutions, but even more powerful was Mark Zuckerberg, because he, along with tech bros, are controlling the world. Okay, I will shut up. Enough, right? Because let me bring it to you. The battle to regain trust begins now with all of you. Harvard says it educates the future leaders of the world. Well, if you future leaders don't fight for democracy right now, there will be little left for you to lead. How do you do this? And this leads to two. Turn crisis into opportunity. I think you've lived through this. Accept that crisis is here to stay. In Rappler, my co-founders, and one of them is here, Glenda Gloria, who's a Nieman Fellow from 2018, we learned to embrace the worst scenarios we could imagine, and this happened during our darkest times. Then we workflowed what our company would do. We drilled our team, and we prepared for the worst. We also learned, strangely, to become punching bags, because we didn't want to tear down our judiciary. We didn't want to tear down our government. We knew how potent fear is, and we tried to step in. I mean, at some point, you get angry when silence is consent, but you understand. Well, I did have good news. Remember, we we put out all of our worst case scenarios, and the reality we lived through was so much better than we could have imagined. Hell, purgatory, right? It didn't mean we weren't afraid. We just made a pact among the 4 co-founders of Rappler that only one of us could be afraid at any single time. We rotated the fear. But now, for you, for us, the corruption of our information ecosystem is about to get worse. Because of deep fakes, you can't trust your eyes and ears. Because of chatbots, you can't trust that the person you're communicating with is even human. After Elon Musk bought Twitter, he fired its trust and safety teams. Meta and Google also cut some of their staff. So as half the world goes to the polls, goes to vote this year, there will be fewer safety measures in place to protect us. Now, big tech is choking traffic to news sites, which means you will get less news in your feeds. How do you know what's real? How do you know what's fact when your emotions are what's manipulated, when our biology is hacked? Instead of the facts, the enshittification and shittification of the internet is in full bloom. More trash, more propaganda, more information operations that push our emotional buttons. Paris Mayor Anne Hidalgo deleted X last year, calling it a human sewer. We will have to struggle harder for agency, for independent thought. And it's not just the tech companies that abdicated responsibility for protecting us, it's also democratic governments like the United States. Tech is the least regulated industry around the world. That's why the US needs to reform or revoke Section 230 of the 1996 Communications Decency Act. We need to stop the impunity. We also need to acknowledge our crisis of faith. I've always believed in the goodness of human nature, but that has never been tested as much as it is today, when the incentive structure of the technology that connects us rewards the bad, eliminates the best of who we can be. So we need to restore our faith in humanity, and that starts with compassion. There's a word that goes beyond empathy in South Africa. I love this word, Ubuntu. I am because we are. It's a deeper faith in another person. It's deeper than stepping in someone else's shoes. But in order to get there, to get to Ubuntu, we have to lower our shields, which leads us to 3. Be vulnerable. You've accomplished a lot to be here today. You might think being vulnerable is weak, and it is hard to trust. But in every relationship, in every negotiation, in order to move forward and accomplish anything meaningful, someone lowers their shield first, brings down their ego, the defense mechanism, then others follow. Let that person be you. Because when you're vulnerable, you create the strongest bonds. You restore trust and the ability to find creative solutions to intractable problems. You become resilient and enable the most inspiring possibilities. So, choose your best self. Turn crisis into opportunity. Be vulnerable. This is it. This time matters. What you do matters. The war isn't just happening in Gaza, in Sudan, in Ukraine. It isn't just out there. It's in your pocket. Each of us is fighting our own battles for facts, for integrity, because the dictator-to-be can zoom in and target each of us. So let me end by reminding you, we're standing on the rubble of the world that was. And you must have the courage, the foresight to imagine and create the world as it should be, more compassionate, more equal, more sustainable. Your Harvard education gives you the tools. Make it a world that is safe from fascists and tyrants. Alone, no matter how much of a superstar you are, you will accomplish very little. We will accomplish very little alone. This is about what we can do together, to find what binds us together. Our world on fire needs you. So, class of 2024, welcome to the battlefield. Join us.
Thank you, Maria Ressa, for your inspiring words and the privilege of your presence here today. Please rise as the commencement choir leads us in the singing of Fair Harvard. Please remain standing as the Pusey minister pronounces the benediction. The commencement exercises then being ended, the Sheriff of Middlesex County will declare the meeting adjourned. The audience is requested to remain in place until the platform party has recessed.
I was blessed I am grateful to conclude our ceremonies with the final blessing. In its ancient roots, blessing does not confer goodness, blessing honors goodness. Blessing is not a talismanic spell of protection, it is an act of recognition. Blessing is a gesture of praise, not a way of making something good, but a way of acknowledging what is already good. In its medieval roots, meanwhile, blessing carries a sense of woundedness. To be blessed means to have come through something trying and to have survived. Blessing honors you. It honors you for who you are, but it also bends its knee before all you have been through. Harvard class of 2024, you have been through it. You have been through pandemic and isolation and war again, through transition and upheaval and strife and alienation and division and grief. So on behalf of all those crowding this tercentenary theater, on behalf of all those who couldn't travel or couldn't get tickets or couldn't get in here today, on behalf of all of those who are celebrating somewhere else, let me here assume the singular privilege and the distinct honor of saying simply, bless you. Bless you for all you have worked for. Bless you for all you have stood for. Bless you for who you have been. Bless you for who you will become. Harvard graduates, during these trying times, you have been a blessing to us, and we see it. We see the scope and size and sheer wonder of your blessing arrayed before us in all its dazzling, beautiful diversity. We see it, I see it in front of me. There are differences among us. Most of them are keen and beautiful. Some of them are deep and painful. And they all matter. But none of these differences needs to be as important as the difference you can make with what you have gained here. None of them needs to matter as much as the difference you could be to all that you will work for and all that you will stand for, through all you have been and all you will become. Those of us here on the stage have the world's best view because we can see all of you. We see what you have been through, and we see the goodness in you too. Beyond this Harvard yard, we see a world in desperate need of goodness. We see a world in need of you. Our trying times have not ended, but you're not finished yet either. There is much yet to be done, but there is also much that you have left to do. And the task of getting it done couldn't fall to a better or better prepared group of people. Harvard class of 2024, in so many ways, you have made us proud. Make us proud again. I bid you every blessing today and always. Now, go in peace and become for our world the blessing you have been to us. Amen.
As the High Sheriff of Middlesex County, I declare that the meeting will be adjourned!